Following a long day of Senate debate on voting rights legislation Wednesday, Republican filibuster prevented the bill from reaching a vote. Then, in an attempt by Democrats to find another way, there was an effort to change the filibuster rule. Well, that didn't work either because it didn't have the support of two moderate Democratic senators, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. So let me bring in now the senator from the great state of Delaware, Chris Coons. Senator Coons, I guess first question here is, now what?
Well, TJ, that was a very long, very difficult day on the Senate floor we had yesterday. 12 hours of debating voting rights. And as you correctly put it, we did get all 50 Democrats to support moving forward with the critical John Lewis Voting Rights Restoration Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. But we did not get all 50 Democrats to support a narrow one-time change to the rules that would have allowed us to pass those two bills with 51 votes. Vice President Harris being in the seat to provide the 51st vote if we had gotten there. A bipartisan group of senators will meet tomorrow to talk about a narrower, smaller series of changes we could make to the Electoral Count Act and to try and provide greater security to election officials and try and push back on some of the election subversion bills that are being taken up by states around the country. And those of us dedicated to making this change to get voting rights moving forward will keep at it. But it was a difficult day yesterday, and I hope that folks who were paying attention and are concerned about the path forward will be engaged at the local level, will be engaged nationally. We have elections coming up in November, and it's more important than ever that we hear the voices of all Americans and that we fight to make sure that our voting process is safe, is open, is free, is fair, and as many Americans as possible have the right to vote and the opportunity to exercise that right.
And Senator, you said that you're looking for another path forward. But whatever new effort comes, do you have some confidence that this new effort, said you all are going to be getting together and meeting and looking for another workaround, but what hopes do you have that that's going to work better than these last tries?
TJ, to be clear, this is a narrower conversation about fixing an antiquated law that created some of the opening for the January 6th riot for the former president's lie that there was some chance for the vice president to overturn the results of the 2020 election. That's the narrower effort that there are Republicans willing to work with us on. But as you correctly reported, we had not one Republican vote yesterday for moving forward with these bills. I think we need to continue to be engaged on this issue, but I don't see an easier path forward on advancing the Voting Rights Restoration Act at this point.
Part of this, we had the House Minority Whip, Representative Scalise, on a couple of days ago here. And I tried and I asked round and round, and just to give me one thing he agreed with in either one of those voting rights bills. Just one. And he wouldn't. And I don't want to say he couldn't, but he refused to. If you have Republicans who, look, they might have legitimate issues and reservations about maybe thinking it's a federal overreach, but if you have Republicans who won't even say there's one thing in there that they would be okay with, where do we go?
TJ, that's what's so hard about this moment, is that for 50 years, there was a bipartisan consensus between the two parties that the Voting Rights Act, which was the most powerful civil rights bill in American history, was something that needed to be strengthened and sustained and reauthorized. As recently as 2006, every Republican in the Senate, every senator, voted to reauthorize the Voting Rights Act. And since then, a conservative majority on the Supreme Court has taken key pieces of the Voting Rights Act out, weakened it, taken real blows to it. And now in our effort, named in honor of former late Congressman John Lewis, to strengthen and to revive the Voting Rights Act, we can't get a single Republican vote. That's in no small part because they have spread the untruth that there is widespread illegal voting, improper voting by Americans who are not here legally. As the last president said, he claimed repeatedly that millions of illegals were voting. That's been debunked in hearing after hearing, in court case after court case. That's been proven to be untrue. Yet many are claiming that that is the reason they won't work with us to strengthen and to reinforce the Voting Rights Act. That's unfortunate. And that breakdown in what was a long bipartisan commitment to strengthen access to the ballot box has been one more casualty of the last president and the last election.
And Senator, last thing here, you talk about Republicans and trying to get their support, but the fact remains that two Democratic senators, Manchin and Sinema, they could change this right now. They're the ones who do not agree with changing the filibuster rule. Convince them, pressure them. Have you given up that effort to try to convince them to be on board and change and vote to change the filibuster rule?
I haven't. The president hasn't. Our leadership hasn't given up on this by any measure, but they have remained steadfast in their opposition to changing these rules. We have moved the caucus in its position on this, but we have not ultimately persuaded those two.
Well, Senator Coons, we will check in with you again down the road. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you, TJ.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.